I'm picking up from between the songs moving forward, between unhitching the trailer so you can get out of the mud. And I think I really found and heard something over this past week that really emphasized that sometimes you got to look at the trailer to see how big it is and how much it's slowed you down. And it's called the word is iniquity. I'm going to read from Numbers 14. The campaign to go into the promised land lasted 40 days, and now it's time for the report card. Everybody was like, yeah, it's a great land. 10 of the 12 said, there's no way we're going in there. And so now it was up to the congregation, the ruling people of Israel, to say, hey, we're in or we're out. And I want you to listen to these words, because iniquity speaks to all of us. In fact, some of you actually literally have your father here in this room. The iniquities of the fathers visit, folks. It's a real dynamic. But you know what? Your earthly father doesn't have to be here in this room for that thing to still visit. But I want you to hear what the Israelites feared the most was the bad guys, right? It was the giants in the promised land. You know who waited 40 years for the same people to circle back around? Those same giants. They didn't go nowhere. Right? In the promised land, yeah, maybe they had other baby giants, but they were still giants when the Israelites had to go 40 years in the wilderness. But are they the same people? Absolutely not. This is the generation that made it through the wilderness and moving forward. Can you imagine being 2 years out, 38 years in the wilderness, knowing you still got giants in that same land, but you're the next generation? You have to put on the spirit of this message. This is not an age bracket type of conversation. This is having to do with what was literal to the Israelites back then, we learned from, and at any point, what is now of spirit in your generation, maybe you're facing stuff that God's been very patient and waiting on, and it's like about 2 years out, right? For you to enter into your land facing some big stuff. And God's wanting to know what you're going to do. But I'm going to read Numbers 14 because it sets the tone of how vicious iniquity wants to hold you back from moving forward. So listen to this. They had already given the report card, and it says, and all the congregation lifted up their voice, this is now the people, and cried. And the people wept that night. You know what? They had time to sleep on it. This wasn't like a flash mob decision. They actually had time to think about their position. Were they going to go into the promised land, or were they going to take option B? And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in this wilderness. They just took a quick little RV trip through the Red Sea, puttered up, a couple weeks or whatever to get in right on the edge of the land of Canaan. And now they're already saying, if God would have killed us in Egypt or the wilderness, it would have been better. It hadn't happened yet. The timeline is that they have not gone through the 40 years yet. So they're already stating what they want. And wherefore hath the Lord brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, and our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return unto Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. Now, guess who stands to their, this is the tone, folks. We got a choice. You can listen to these unnamed congregation people that say, hey, let's find a new person. Let's go with what we know, what we're familiar with. We're familiar with Egypt, and we're familiar with the wilderness. Let's just go with what we're familiar with. Well, there's another voice. Listen to Joshua and Caleb. They're not the leaders, but they are the generation that God honored, not only because they came back with a good report, but it's because of these words right here. Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of this other guy, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land. Now they're doing the speaking. It's not Moses and Aaron. The land which we pass through to search it is exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us. A land which flows with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. How fast does bread, even hard bread, it dissolves pretty fast in your mouth in water. Like, this is how confident and bold you need to have against the stuff that's holding you back, you're hitched up to. You need to see it as bread. Iniquity is pretty intimidating, but it is what? Bread. It's like bread. Their defense is departed from them, and their Lord is with us. Is the Lord with the enemy, everybody? No way. He's with us. Fear them not. But this is why iniquity is so strong. Listen to the tone here. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. In response to a message about being bold, leaving what you know, I want to tell you, stuff starts freaking out. Don't let it. If there's something new, and God is saying it's a place of faith, it's a place of promise, it's a place of change. That stuff always freaks out prior to. Why? Because it already has formed somebody over a period of time, maybe even years. So there are places that are jump moments. You got to jump through to the next place in your life. Last week we're talking about apathy. What are we going to do with spiritual apathy? How's it going? What is spiritual apathy? It's just saying, I don't want to change anymore. I'm content with what I have. I'm a promised person. You know what? Sometimes you get comfortable with so many promises but not put the effort into participating with them and receiving them. So they wanted to the point of stoning. Stoning who? These are their heroes. Moses and Aaron should have been their hero just weeks before 40 days of searching out the land, and then they made it through all of Egypt and the plagues and can you imagine the Red Sea? How can that be in the short-term memory? Where did all that go? Move forward, folks. The iniquities that feel so strong are bred. Well, this is what the Lord does in response. And the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long this is the mercies of God in the midst of them wanting to kill the chosen leaders of God. The Lord said, how long will the people provoke me, and how long will it be ere that they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them? I mean, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit. That's a hard word. Disinherit them. And will make thee a greater nation and a mighty. You know what? God was going to do it. God was going to do a new thing with Moses. A new people, like the Mosesites. And he had every legal right to do it. Listen to this. And Moses said unto the Lord, then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou hast broughtest up this people in thy might from among them. He's saying, Lord, by the way, that's not going to go so well with your plan of redemption by delivering them out of Egypt, but then going over here and squishing them like an ant, right? So what is Moses? He knows the nature of God, and he says this, and they will tell it to all the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among this people, that thou art the Lord, art seen face to face. And thy cloud stands over them, and they go before them by day in a pillar and a cloud and a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you shall kill off this people as one man, then the nations which have heard the fame of you will speak, saying, because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land which he sware unto them, therefore he hath slain them in the wilderness. And now I beseech you, let the power of the Lord be great according as thou hast spoken, saying, listen to this, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and unto the third and fourth generation. Listen to the tone. The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy. Moses said, I know your nature. Even though they were out to kill us, I know you're so merciful. I'm calling on you to fulfill who you are, even though they've offended you that much. Folks, you've not offended God that much in your life, so don't hold back. The mercies of God are enormous. Don't live with the guilt of iniquity. Don't live in the position that you have to wander around. Now, I found an object lesson from the next generation. The Calebs and Joshuas, they weren't just time warped and skipped over the 40 years. They had to go through the same 40 years that all the other congregation that wanted to kill them. But guess who died off? See, they identified with the mercies of God. So do you. If you're going to survive your iniquities of your generations and really see into how God is going to change and why he's here and why are we praying, why do we repent of things? Receive his mercies. Let him reform you, because a lot of you might be under the influence of your iniquities. Your parents may have really dumped some stuff on you. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with the dump that you got? The mercies of God are here. They continue to be here. That's the program. Moses set it in order. He said, they're going to be dealt with, but the mercies are how they're going to be handled. You must respond and change. You must unhitch them. You must identify. Can you imagine the generation that all these, the people that made it 40 years on the other side? They're watching their parents die off. They're watching Uncle so-and-so go away. And they're recognizing those exact words I just read, that we're freaking out. We should have taken the advice, don't fear. And I see why my parents, my granddad, my uncle, all these people suffer through those things, and they're being discipled every year that goes by. They're counting them down. 39, 38 years. How many years we got left? We got 35 more years. All right, let's keep going. In your life, we sing. What does it look like to change, to be delivered? Folks, don't lose heart. Don't lose perspective that your lives are, you're the generation being here in this fellowship. I'm telling you, there's no room for sin or iniquity. So don't lose the long haul perspective that is doing in your life to release you from the things that are dragging you through life, the iniquities that make you feel like, man, why am I dealing with this one? Don't go down kicking the sand so much about your generations and your iniquities. Look up. Stay engaged. What is God asking you to change? Is the provision there? Absolutely. With long suffering, it's there. Who are you when you get to the edge of the promised land? Who are you? Can you imagine this youth? It's a whole new generation. Made it through the wilderness. Your lives are that valuable that God, because of Moses' word, he wants you to learn from iniquity, but stay on top of it. Don't serve it.